Hello and good day, everybody. Today in pre-algebra, CO13, we're going to be talking about expressions and focusing on, why word problems are so difficult. They're so difficult because you need to interpret, right, what the equation is, what the operations are, and how to word it correctly, how to place everything correctly so your equation makes sense. And so our objective today is to look at some of those words, some of those phrases that mean each of the four major operations so that when you see the expression in words, you know what it's asking you to do. Okay? And does anyone know what an expression is? Not a facial expression, right? But a mathematical expression. What is it? If I see too many yawns, I'll have to stop my smooth jazz voice. Anthony.
Is it like addition could be like sum?
So that's what this table down here is going to really get into, are those words and those phrases that mean the operations. But the definition of a mathematical expression.
Is it like an equation but you don't solve it?
Yeah, okay, yes. So the definition is a mathematical statement. And as Anthony said, there is no equal sign. Hold on, I can write that better. I forgot how to spell equal for a second there. I'm so relaxed. No equal sign. Okay, it's stating something. Okay, it's not giving you what the value is, but it's making a mathematical statement. A variable is an unknown value and it is usually a letter. Most commonly X, Y, or N.
Why can't we use like plus or like T?
You could use T. Yeah.
Would it be confusing though?
No. Well, it's depending on how you make your T. If you
6 minus T.
Yeah. Once we start working with variables, you'll see that I make letters a little bit differently than I normally write them. When I do the variable T, I write it like that, so you don't confuse it with a plus sign, right? And I was once told that my Z's look like 2's, even though by now you should know that I always make every 2 with a little curl in there. I once was told my Z's look like a 2, so now I put a line in there when I use the variable Z, because I'm always accommodating you, right? Is my duty to accommodate you. But anyway, so an unknown value, usually a letter, and usually X, Y, or N, but really any letter could be used. So Anthony already gave us sum, which is the word that means addition. What are some other words or phrases that mean addition or any of the other operations? Anthony?
Altogether.
Altogether. Meaning what?
What for addition?
Addition. Good. All together. Aiden. Plus. Nice. Any others? For addition or any of the operations? Nolan. Very well. Tristan. For makes sense. Yes. And actually, I'm going to save that one for a little bit. The bottom three, so subtraction gets a little bit funky with the order. So I'm going to save that subtract. I'm going to add something to it. But what is the word for subtraction? Like sum, we use sum to mean the answer to an addition expression. What word would be the answer to a subtraction expression?
Less.
Not less.
Sure, I forgot.
Starts with D, ends in
Decrease.
difference.
Difference.
Well done, class. Good job. Difference.
I mean, I'm very.
Right? When you see the word difference, you're thinking subtraction, how far apart something is, right? The difference of 9 and 5 is 4. They're 4 apart. 9 minus 5 equals 4, right? But going back to what Tristan said, we can use the word subtract, which ends down right now. We can use the word subtract 2 different ways. We can say subtracted by and subtracted from. Subtracted by and subtracted from. And the difference is very minor, right? The words at the end, by and from, but they mean different things, okay? If I were to write, and I'll kind of do it up here, 10 subtracted by 12, what's that asking me to do? 10 subtracted by 12. William?
Minus, subtract.
Subtract what, though?
10 and 12.
Okay. And so the answer would be what?
Negative 2.
-2. Right? 10 subtracted by 12 means you have 10. You're subtracting 12. The answer would be -2. However, if I were to use the word from, same numbers, what is 10 subtracted from 12 asking me to do? Still subtraction, but think about the wording. 10 subtracted from 12. Penelope? Now it's saying 12 minus 10, right? Because if I'm subtracting 10 from 12, that means I'm starting with 12 and subtracting 10 from that. So the order in subtraction is something you really have to pay attention to. One little word is different, but it means that the order is flip-flopped than what you see, and our answer is different, right? So I'm going to star this one, this subtracted from, because that order, it causes it to change. The order you see the numbers is actually different from what it's telling you to do. And the other subtraction phrase, where you also have to switch it like that, someone said less earlier, is the phrase less than. Less than, okay? If I have 10 less than 12, I'm still starting with 12 and taking 10 less than that, okay? So those two ones that are starred here, the order with which the numbers are given to you is actually switched when you write the expression because of the wording. And this is why word problems can be tricky, right? Okay, so pay attention to that. Question or?
For multiplication.
Sure. Of. And I'm going to put groups of. Notice I'm skipping the very top top line there because I'm going to save that for another word. Groups of. And that word groups is kind of interesting too, because if we have the phrase into groups, that's going to lead us to division. You have 3 groups of 4. Total, you have 12 objects, right? If you're putting 12 objects into groups of 4, each will have 3. 12 divided by 4. So the word groups can be a little bit tricky also. You're looking for that word of or that word into for multiplication versus division. But what word represents the answer to a multiplication expression? Product. Okay, product, the product of. And as long as we're on that topic here, what word represents the solution to a division expression? Right on my desk, please, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Anthony.
Quotient.
Quotient. Very good. Quotient. Some other words that represent multiplication and division. Anthony, what else you got?
Divisor.
So divisor, dividend, that does mean division, but it also refers to a specific part of the division question. So you're not wrong, but we're looking for more just general phrases, terms that mean the operation of division. Those are part of it, but not quite where we're headed today.
Divide.
William, divided by, sure. divided by. This one would be multiplied by, or times would be another one. Look at the other phrases and words that are on the page here. Any you see that are not yet up there that we could add for multiplication and division specifically? Tristan.
Well, I have one for addition. It's more than.
More than? How about the word twice? What would that be? Yeah, and specifically multiply by what? If you're taking twice something, you're specifically two. You know, words like twice, double, triple, quadruple, right? They mean that you're multiplying, but it's a very specific number that you're multiplying by. You know, twice is times 2, triple is times 3. You know, similarly for division, if you want to divide by 2, what word could you use for that, Nolan?
Actually, wait, divided by 2.
Yeah, what word would mean to specifically divide by 2? Half of something, right?
This one.
You take a half, you are specifically dividing by 2. Or if you take a third, you know, you're specifically dividing by 3. Okay. Can I just point out, just an observer's observation here? This has been the best participation that we've had as a class all year long. We've had like 7 people raise their hands and participate today. Do you think it's because you're feeling so relaxed right now?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
This is phenomenal. And we even had, you know, a bunch of kids out taking tests too. So this is great stuff. Any questions on the chart and what you see here? Okay, let's start to practice this. So your directions, we got a 2-pager today? Of course we do. Your directions for this first part say, write the verbal phrase as an expression, or write the expression as a verbal phrase. So if it's given to you verbally, you're going to write the expression mathematically. If it gives you the mathematical expression, you're going to write the verbal form of it. Okay. So let's look at the sum of 9 and 7. The sum of 9 and 7, yeah.
9 plus 7.
9 plus 7. Do we need to solve it?
Yes.
No, we don't. Okay. Remember, an expression, there is no equal sign. This is a mathematical statement. The statement is 9. Now, if you wanted to, could you put equal 16? Sure, you could. Okay. But the expression, the sum of 9 and 7, is just 9 plus 7. That's what it's telling you to do. The difference of a number and 9, Josie. Yeah, n minus 9. Now, this of a number, we don't know what it is, right? That's where the variable comes into play. You could use whatever letter that you wanted to. N works great. But we see that word difference, meaning we're subtracting, and so it's n minus 9. Not the same as 9 minus n. With subtraction, the order matters. And unless it's using subtracted from or less than, the order that it's presented to you will be the order that you write it in. Okay, so you really got to pay attention, especially with subtraction for order. The product of 3 and 6, Aiden? 3 times 6. You could write that using a dot. You could write that with parentheses, right? Both of those show that you are multiplying there. Okay? Pick one of the next 6 to kind of talk about together here. Which one looks particularly fun and or entertaining? Peyton.
3 times a number plus 8.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff, isn't it? 3 times the number plus 8. And in fact,
That happened twice.
you'll notice that we've got 2 of them that kind of say the same thing there. But what's different about them? Adrian?
There's a comma in different spots.
Yeah, there's commas in different spots there. 3 times a number plus 8 versus 3 times a number plus 8. What do commas do? When you read a sentence and you come across a comma, what's that kind of telling you to do, Nolan? Mathematically, that's what it's leading to that, yes. But when you read it in like a book or a story,
You like pause?
take a pause. Maybe it's listing something, maybe it's connecting two clauses together, but a comma means just pause. It kind of separates things. Mathematically, as Nolan's kind of getting to here, what it does is it separates operations. Like when you hear 3 times a number plus 8, is it saying 3 times a number plus 8 or 3 times a number plus 8? Right? I'm going to write the same things here. 3 times a number plus 8, 3 times a number plus 8. Those are two different things, aren't they? In the top one, you're multiplying by 3 first and then adding 8. In the bottom one, you're adding an 8 first because of the parentheses and then multiplying that total by 3. So the order of operations changes between the two of them because of the parentheses. Which one's correct for that first one? 3 times a number plus 8. 3 times a number plus 8. Nolan?
Oh, the top one.
The top one, right? This is essentially saying, these are connected. Do that first. 3 times a number plus 8, which is what that top expression tells us to do. In the second one, 3 times a number plus 8. 3 times a number plus 8. Josie? The bottom one. Here it's saying you've got 3 and you're multiplying that by a number plus 8. In this one, these operations are connected, right? If you were to put the comma here after 3 times, that would be fine too. 3 times a number plus 8, but typically it just flows a little bit better if it's after that 3. Okay. How about the last one on this page here? A number subtracted from 14. A number subtracted from 14. This is the one you got to be a little careful with. This is right, Landon? Yeah, that phrase subtracted from, right, means you're starting with 14 and subtracting a number from that. So that phrase subtracted from, remember that order is going to switch. Going to flip-flop. Okay? Questions on this first page? You getting the gist of it? Still feeling relaxed? Good. The second page, the majority of these now, here we have numbers subtracted by 14. Again, very similar to what we saw last on the first page, but a little bit different, so pay attention to that. But now we have a bunch of them that are written as numerical expressions, and you need to write the verbal. So let's just take that 2x plus 3 there. Give me a couple different ways that you could write this verbally. And you have options, so we don't have to just lock onto one. Nolan? William?
2 times a number plus 3.
Any commas in there?
No.
2 times a number plus 3. How do I know whether I'm adding a number in 3 first or if I'm multiplying by 2 first? William?
Parentheses.
Well, I can't really put parentheses in the verbal. I mean, I could, sentences can have parentheses, but what do we use in place of parentheses when we write the verbal? What do we talk about on the first page? What causes us to pause and reflect and relax? Landon. A comma. Where would this comma go here? Anthony.
After the number.
After number, right? 2 times a number. Do that first, and then add 3 to to that. Okay? That's what this is saying here. Another way that we could do it verbally. Other words that we could use. How about instead of 2 times, we say twice a number plus 3. Or instead of twice, we can say the product of 2 and a number plus 3. Right? When you go to the verbal, there's a lot of potential answers because there's a lot of words that mean to multiply. 2 multiplied by a number plus 3. All of them work. Okay? So don't worry if you're working through this and you check with a neighbor and they've got something different than you. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. They might have just used a different word. So the back page, you are writing the numerical as a verbal statement. And then at the very bottom, you've got some review here. It says write one expression using 3 operations from PERMDAS that equals 18. We go back to square roots, evaluate 81/49. You had one very similar to that on your test. And then some more evaluations with exponents and roots there. These 2 you need to estimate back from CO12. Okay. Tomorrow is going to be a retake day, so this assignment will be due on Monday. Any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, compliments, congratulations, criticisms? Con is due tonight. CO13 is due Monday. And that, folks, is how you math.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.